If you've got a pulse and you also love Tennessee football, then I promise you, you are going to love what Josh Heupel had to say about Joey football. Of course, when I'm talking Joey football, I'm talking about Joey Aguilar, your new QB1 for the Tennessee Volunteers in the 2025 season. He was announced Tennessee starter on Sunday night. Late on Sunday night, I would know because I got you guys a video as quickly as I could. And we've already talked about what Joey Aguilar had to say about his process going through the competition to be named starter, to where he feels how he is going into this next season. But it's a whole nother thing to hear the head coach and what he had to say about that process and where he believes Joey Aguilar is. He said the following: Joey, through the course of training camp, each and every day, continued to grow and take steps and understand what we're doing in comfort level. Played well in the scrimmages, had good command, and that ultimately led to the decision that we made. Those guys have all grown. But I think Joey coming in May, having to learn the offense throughout the late spring, summertime, getting his feet on the grass with our guys, learning how we practice, but also growing each day. Just continue to trend upward in his comfort and control and command of what we're doing. That's decision-making and accuracy with the football, our checks that he controls. You put all of that together, and that's ultimately why we made the decision. So I got a couple of takeaways from everything that Josh Heupel had to say in terms of Joey Aguilar and him now being the QB1 of this offense. Number one, I got a feeling that Josh Heupel feels as comfortable with Joey as Joey does in this offense, okay? I think he finally feels like he knows what's going on. And I'm sure that this genuinely was all that Josh Heupel was looking for. Again, I've said it before. I don't think Josh Heupel was looking for the quarterback that could throw the ball the farthest. I don't think Josh Heupel was looking for the quarterback that could, put more zip on the ball. What Josh Heupel was looking for was for the quarterback he believed could run his offense the best, because it's a very hard offense to run, and you know what you need to be able to run it? Experience. Experience playing college football. And that's the biggest head up that Joey Aguilar had over either the other two guys that he was competing with. When looking at Jake Merklinger, when looking at George McIntyre, both of those two guys together had 2 collegiate games played combined compared to Joey Aguilar's 41. He was light years ahead of those guys. And that ultimately helped him be able to learn this offense quicker, right? George McIntyre had a couple months of a head start over Joey. I'd be willing to bet that Joey's better at running this thing than George is, just because he's played so much more college football. Speaking of college football, it's right around the corner. I could not be more excited. We actually got week 0 right now, okay? And we know the Alabama Football Report challenged us to a sub-battle earlier in this week. Let's check back into it, see how we're sitting. We're down, but only down 2 subscribers. Not bad at all. If you hate Bama, if you love the Vols, this is the best place to be. All you got to do is make it official. Hit that subscribe button. Help us take down the Alabama Football Report in this week's sub-battle. So Joey is comfortable in the offense. That's my takeaway number 1. My takeaway number 2 is it feels like they're very impressed with how quickly he's come in and he's learned that offense, right? Announced his transfer April 21st. Didn't end up coming in until around May, right? And he had to take in a ton of info. And we talked about this a little bit in Wednesday's show. We talked just a little bit more about Joey in particular. But there's a lot he had to digest. There's a lot he had to learn. And there's a lot that makes it hard to learn those things and be the quarterback for Josh Heupel's system. Tennessee's tempo is very, very hard to kind of get down and get used to. Right? They snap the ball very quick. Second, the wide receiver, running back gets down. Everybody's sprinting back to the line of scrimmage trying to catch the defense off guard. Number 2, you have to learn the pre- and post-snap reads. Not just the post-snap reads of the defense, but the post-snap read of what is the wide receiver going to see in that defense, and then what route is he going to run off of that. Because there's a lot of plays where one wide receiver might have 3 different routes on that, but he does something different based on if it's man coverage, if it's cover 2, or if it's cover 3. And the quarterback is going to have to know what that guy's going to do while also having to read the defense, see what they're doing. The wide receiver spacing is very, very different. They use all 53 in the third. They're all the way outside the numbers. They weren't like that at Appalachian State. And the time crunch, right? He only had 3.5, 4 months to learn it. From when he stepped on campus to when they will be running through the tee in Mercedes-Benz Stadium next week, it's going to be about 4 months flat. That's a very hard thing to do. So that's my second takeaway. My third takeaway is I believe they feel, and Josh feels, that he's on an upward trajectory. That he's trending up at the right time. That he's, I don't want to say peaking because he's nowhere near his peak, but that everything they've seen from him from when he's got on campus, it's just constantly been like this. He's building every single day. Reports after scrimmage 1. I remember me and my buddies in our group text, shout out the true VFLs. We were saying, yikes, like I hate this. Do you remember that? All the reports were Merklinger struggled, Joey struggled, George McIntyre looked like the best one out of all of them. And then scrimmage 2 came along. Brent Hubbs dropped us a little bit of a nugget, saying Aguilar appeared more comfortable. Overall, the group managed the offense better in the second scrimmage. So he's already growing from scrimmage 1 to scrimmage 2, and that's going to continue as long as he keeps practicing, keeps getting those reps with that first team. And then ultimately when he starts playing football games, that's when we are going to see the biggest jump in him, is when game week comes around and we're actually playing people who are not wearing orange and white. I got a deal. First 5 people to follow me on Twitter get followed back, okay? You can find me at Joey Petersen 8. You can also find my Twitter if you go to the comments and description of today's video. Click that link in there. Give me a follow. I've actually grown my Twitter a decent bit since we started this channel. Added over like 200 followers. Appreciate all of you guys who have done that. So be the next one, and first 5 get followed back by your boy. Alrighty, on the upward trajectory, my final takeaway from everything Heupel had to say is Joey's got full command. And not just full command as in he's got a really good grip on this offense, but I believe also this coaching staff has full trust in his command and full trust in him to run this offense. This is his team now. It wasn't a week ago, but it is now. He's the one out there running with the ones. Thank God, right? We needed to get to that at some point. We needed to, at some point, stop rotating and just get everybody in that first team to get reps together. He's running the show. There's no distractions, right? Before it was, okay, first period, I want Joey with Mike, Chris, and Staley. Second period, I want Jake. Give me Jake with Travis, with Ra. It was like, and then they'd flip. Now, it's just, okay, first team's out there, Joey's out there. That's it. There's nothing else every single period. And I'm really excited to see him grow with this group. Because, yeah, he's had chances to. He's got to throw a lot of passes to these guys, but not as many as he could have been. And it was necessary to do the competition. You had to find the best guy. But now that you have found the best guy, now that you know who that best guy is, then that's phenomenal. You know where you stand. And we can just look at wide receivers, Casey. We don't have to look at the running backs. But, like, that's going to be big for this wide receiver group. Because he's got a lot of options. And I don't want to say they're question mark options. But Chris Brazell is the only person in this room, and the 2 deep, that is, that has more than 2 years of collegiate experience. Everybody else really young. Everybody else still has a lot to prove. And now Joey's right there with him, okay? And I think that's just going to benefit everybody. Coming up next, stick around, don't go anywhere. I got my Tennessee schedule outlook, okay? I thought it'd be fun to wrap this, episode up and tell you 4 things about 4 games, okay? The game I'm most excited for, surprise trap game I'm going to, and the one I want to go ahead and call a guaranteed win. We're going to start with the game I'm most excited for. This one's a little controversial. I'm most excited for on the road against the Florida Gators. I'm ready to end that streak of losing in the swamp. And I think it starts with this group, and I think it starts this year. I am sick and tired of going to Florida, to Gainesville, and coming home a loser. My surprise trap game is on the road at Mississippi State. Now, I don't like Mississippi State. You know how much I don't like them? I actually quit. I worked for Mississippi State at one point in my life right after college, okay? So I don't like the Bulldogs. But Jeff Lebby's got an interesting offense. He's got one of those offenses where it seems like they could beat anybody if you catch them on a really, really good day, meaning you catch their offense and they catch you on a really, really bad day, similar to Josh, right? So that one's, I think, a surprise trap game. The game I'm going to, I will be in Knoxville to watch them take on the Arkansas Razorbacks, to watch them get their revenge. I actually, funny enough, was in Fayetteville for that game last year. So if you're in Knoxville and you want to come say, hey, hit me up on Twitter. And then my guaranteed win against Oklahoma in Neyland Stadium. OU hasn't been in the SEC for very long. They don't know what it's like to play in Neyland Stadium as a part of the SEC. Okay? And I know it was rocking back when Baker came. I know it was excited. I know it was one of the best atmospheres. And I think it's going to be very, very similar to that. And I don't think that they're going to be able to handle it. Okay? Give me that guaranteed win against OU. That's going to do it for today's show. Appreciate you guys for hanging out with us. My name's Joey Petersen. You're watching Tennessee Football Talk. Make sure you've got me on social media at Joey Petersen8 on Twitter. That's where I tweet about the Vols the most. It's where I post about the Vols the most. So make sure you got me followed on there. Remember, first 5 followers get a follow back. More than anything, though, you got to subscribe. You got to turn on notifications. That way, every time we drop a video, you're right in there as quickly as you can be. And if you do that, then great. We'll see you next time.